I can't talk about delayed gratification in business without using the Igbo people of Nigeria as a proper reference point. The average Igbo businessman understands the concept of delayed gratification. First and foremost, the system that got them into business was one of delayed gratification. Having gone through a business incubation system where they were Unwa boys and had to patiently wait till they owned their own. Patience as a virtue was what honed in them bit by bit. And so when they eventually owned their own, they maintained the same attitude. And that's why an Igbo man can have 300 million naira in his account and still be acting like a broke man. He will still be in front of his shop eating abacha that his container is probably on the high sea and is doing in sales revenue of about 50 million naira per week. And whether you like it or not, many times these things actually have cultural implications. Because for example, I'm Yoruba and I must say that it's not really something as rampant with us as it is with the Igbo people. So I respect them for that. I remember a man who had a small shop around Mandelas. I used to buy shirts and suits from him for about 6,000 naira back then in 2014 when I was doing my IT at Niger Insurance. Now, a couple of years down the line, this man moved from that small shop to a massive plaza. He was incubating his business, not building a new house, and before we knew it, the business literally exploded. He did not buy a car for himself back then when he could have. Instead, he waited patiently. Today, he can afford to buy a car for himself every month if he wishes, because he's a bona fide billionaire. There's a lot to learn from my Igbo businessman, and delayed gratification is number one.
So there are some short videos that I want us to watch, and these videos are very, very inspirational, that I believe after watching the videos, you will learn something new from them. And remember to share your thoughts and opinions with us in the comment section below on what you gathered from watching the videos. Because like we have said before, our platform is an open one whereby we allow people, viewers, to share their thoughts and opinions on the platforms. Remember, no one's opinion is too important nor too dumb. We all have a part to play in society. We all have a role to play in society. So it is our responsibility to contribute to nation building, to contribute to the progress and prosperity and the education of our society. Let us watch.
Next time you are writing your streams of income, add relationships. If they ask you what are your streams of income, don't just say real estate, tech, relationships. Everything money can do, relationships can do, and can do it cheaper. Don't ignore people. Discern people as they come into your life. This woman, I see that she may look like an ordinary woman, but I've discerned that there is a grace upon her. She has the ears of many people, and you invest in the relationship. Don't be too proud to say sorry. There are relationships you should never allow go out of your life. It will cost you, the injury will be too much.
One time I was sick. I was terribly sick. I was moved to about 5 hospitals years back. And I gave people assignment before I got healed, and I was marking, I was checking my mail, replying the assignment. But I noticed that nobody among those I was leading was texting or checking up on me. And one time they brought fruit to see me in the hospital, and it was cucumber, coconut. It was some hard fruit. So I didn't know what I'd done to deserve. Like, it's better that you did not deserve fruit. So I had to call for a meeting. So then I found out. I actually rebuked them. I said, you guys are not good people. So I've been leading you for a while, but now I'm sick. You can't even say hello. Then when I corrected them, I now found out that they've actually been holding prayer chain. They've been praying. They were doing prayers for me. But me that they were praying for was angry with them. Listen, I want to teach you a very important principle in followership. Only God knows the heart. Man sees what is projected. A good heart is not enough. Project your followership. Also, I didn't tell you. You can do everything right and still be sent out of an organization because they are not spirit. Say, me, by nature, I am an introvert. It's okay, but add wisdom.
Something happened. I was invited to preach somewhere, and thankfully, they booked me in business class, and I was sitting there. And this was about 2 years ago. Now, the man named Peter Obi entered the plane, confidently walked to the back, and sat in economy. And if all the things we read about him is true, he can buy the plane. There are few things that define greatness when you can live without possessions. One of the most powerful ways to demonstrate discipleship in Christ Jesus is that you are still comfortable without your crown. You must have learned how to be abased. I'm telling you, it's something to learn deliberately. I know you've learned to speak in tongues. I know you've learned to pray. I know you've learned to deny yourself and overcome temptation. This is something else to learn. That in whatever situation I find myself, I will be content. I know how to be abased and I know how to abound. I can do. When it says all things in context, what is it referring to? Abound and abase. Sometimes on purpose, just revisit your spending culture. Some of you, that's the problem. The way you are going, you won't be rich for long. That's not the prophecy of doom. You are spending like people who earn 20 times what you earn. You can't afford where you live. You can't afford what you drive. When you begin to put your life's significance on those things, you are covering up low self-esteem. You still have a lot to prove. That's why. Mind not high things, but associate with the humble. Please preach that to the person by your side. Say, mind not high things.
I can't talk about delayed gratification in business without using the Igbo people of Nigeria as a proper reference point. The average Igbo businessman understands the concept of delayed gratification. First and foremost, the system that got them into business was one of delayed gratification. Having gone through a business incubation system where they were Unwa boys and had to patiently wait till they owned their own. Patience as a virtue was what honed in them bit by bit. And so when they eventually owned their own, they maintained the same attitude. And that's why an Igbo man can have 300 million naira in his account and still be acting like a broke man. He will still be in front of his shop eating abacha that his container is probably on the high sea and is doing in sales revenue of about 50 million naira per week. And whether you like it or not, many times these things actually have cultural implications. Because for example, I'm Yoruba and I must say that it's not really something as rampant with us as it is with the Igbo people. So I respect them for that. I remember a man who had a small shop around Mandelas. I used to buy shirts and suits from him for about 6,000 naira back then in 2014 when I was doing my IT at Niger Insurance. Now, a couple of years down the line, this man moved from that small shop to a massive plaza. He was incubating his business, not building a new house, and before we knew it, the business literally exploded. He did not buy a car for himself back then when he could have. Instead, he waited patiently. Today, he can afford to buy a car for himself every month if he wishes, because he's a bona fide billionaire. There's a lot to learn from my Igbo businessman, and delayed gratification is number one.
What was your take from the videos you just watched? The people who spoke in their different videos, what did you gather from what they said? And let me just make this remark before I go, because I thought this was very, very powerful. You know, the speaker who said about delay gratification, that is very powerful. More too often, we do not have this willpower to delay gratification. When we do something, we want the result like now. When we do something, we want to be praised like immediately. When we do something, we want others to know that it is us who have done that thing. And we want them to praise us, or we want to start reaping the reward from the thing we just did. But it is not like that, right? It is not like that, because not everything will give a reward at the same time. Not everything will just produce benefit to us immediately. Some of those things will take time, and by so doing, we need to keep working hard. We need to keep pushing ahead. We need to keep doing what we are supposed to do, so that somehow in the future, we can start reaping the benefit of what we have worked. That is what delay gratification is all about. We must be able, we must be willing to delay pleasure for future benefit. And if you did exactly what the speaker in the video said, I think your life would change for the better. That is it. Like I've always said, and I keep on saying, you and only you is responsible for your life. If your life is great, you are responsible for it, or you were responsible for it. And if your life turned out to be worthless, you were responsible for it. As an adult, obviously. So you cannot blame others for some of the things you face in life. Those things, you should have fixed them all by yourself. You cannot blame others for that. You have only and only yourself to blame. Be watchful, my brothers and sisters. Be mindful and do what you must do to make your life better. But anyway, enough of him talking. So let me hear your own take in the comment section below, because like always, we love hearing what you have to say. Tell us what you gather from the videos you watch, from what all the speakers said.